Greeting to our esteemed guests, faculty members, and audience. I welcome you all on behalf of Compact, the Commerce Society of MAIMS. After the immense success of our initiative, Talk Success with Compact, we are back with its second edition to keep your motivation high with the successful journey of eminent personalities. I, Sakshi, along with Ananya, are going to be a pleasurable host as we unravel this inspirational journey.
Do your best until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. People who understand and implement this in their life are the ones who achieve success in their lives. And one such person is present among us today. With great relish, we would like to welcome Mr. Anil Ghelani, Head of Passive Investment and Products. Mr. Anil has served as the CEO and Chief Investment Officer at DSP Pension Fund Managers. DSP Group has a legacy of more than 150 years, making it one of the oldest and most reputed financial services firms in India. Earlier in his career at DSP, Sir led the risk and quantitative analysis team, providing quantitative research inputs and buy-side credit research on companies across various sectors. Before joining DSP, Mr. Anil worked at IL and FS Asset Management Company and SR Bartley Boy, a member firm of EY. Sir also has been a volunteer with the CFA Society India for more than a decade and currently serves as the vice chairman on the board.
We appreciate you coming with us today, sir, and we look forward to learning more about your journey during this interview for Success Manta, a section that appears in our official monthly newsletter, Vanitya, the Commerce Gazette. Vanitya aims to keep its audience up to date and help them analyze the news making headlines in the commerce world.
Before hopping on to the questions, sir, would you please share a few words with us and the audience?
Sure, of course. First of all, wish you all a very warm welcome, friends. Thank you for calling me here. I'm sorry, I'm not sure some of you are already started coming back to college, but it was difficult for me to travel and be there in person. So this was the best possible alternative that we can do it on a Zoom call or a Google Meet. From my side, I just want to take a couple of minutes to give a broad background of today's session. I think we spoke with a couple of your students and we set up this call. Maybe we'll take it in two parts. One is I'll just discuss from my side few key areas that I would like to highlight, some part of how career decisions should be taken, maybe some mistakes which I made earlier in my career. Maybe I was not well enough aware of this kind of thinking. And maybe it will help all of you guys in some of those learnings. And then we will keep it open and free flowing for question and answers. And during the period also, any other thoughts, comments, anything you guys get, please keep noting it in the question box below. Well, so that's all as a starting from my side, but otherwise happy to take it forward as you say. From my side, what I was thinking that I had made about 5-7 slides to keep as a placeholder for the discussion, just to share perspective from my side, and then we can keep it open. Maybe one of you can pick up questions from audience, or if you have already noted down some questions, I'll be happy to discuss that.
Yes, sir. Sure. Yes.
Okay, great. So let me try and just share my screen. Let me know once you see my presentation. Just 1 second. So, Ananya madam, this is visible to you, right? You can view this.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, and you can see me also and hear me well.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Perfect. All right. Okay, guys. So first of all, once again, now just as a quick kickstart from my side, wish you all a very warm welcome. I don't know which all part of the country all of you are based out of currently, but I'm based in Mumbai, India. Mumbai is very pleasant, a little bit rainy in Mumbai since the past couple of days. So if you might have been reading or watching television about the news, little bit rainy weather over here, and quite a nice and pleasant evening. I wanted to highlight is in this today's discussion, first and foremost from my side, it's important for me. So I just put this slide up front that this discussion I'm doing it in my personal capacity, and I work with a very regulated industry in the mutual fund side. So some of these things become very important for me. That this is not any kind of a formal communication or no intent to have any kind of financial product being sold or anything discussed. So just I wanted to highlight that upfront. And to kickstart with, I just wanted to start with this first slide, called C for calm. So very often, we try to nowadays letter C is associated with something very chaotic or the corona, the crisis, crash, whatever. Crude oil is running up, so people think of that first. But I like to highlight a little bit differently. We should try and be C for calm. And there's this very nice saying by George Patton that nobody can really predict the future, right? But it's important for us to try and prepare for the unknown by analyzing and studying how others in the past have coped with similar unforeseeable circumstances. So that was just one thing important for all of you guys as you are young professionals in your journey of the world of finance investments. I know right now you are still in undergraduation college, so a lot of you are not yet maybe clear about which area you will be selecting as a specialization. But whether it's finance or marketing or business in general, I just wanted to highlight this as an important thing. And this very nice painting or photograph, just wanted to discuss this part. Many of you might have read about this, or if not, I urge you to read it. So friends, over the period, of this 1 hour, I'll keep trying to highlight few book names or movie names which you can read. So this is one very interesting book called The Black Swan, by a famous author, Nicholas Taleb. This got very popular in the light of the global financial crisis in 2007-8. So Taleb in that book came up with this concept of black swan. Swan means something, white color, ekdam mast magnificent bird रहता है. So suppose assume you go for a walk every morning to a park and you see a pond and there is like swans every day. And suddenly one day you are walking and you find a black color swan out of the blue, not very expected, right? So it's something which is a very rare event which occurs very unexpected, and structurally after it occurs, it can cause very big impact. Your entire world can get shaken up. But on hindsight, when you look at it, people can say, this event, though I can very easily, it was visible, you could have expected it to come. But practically, before it happens, it's very difficult to even, in fact, hedge your portfolio for that. So, very crucial, very important thing to keep it in mind. Sometimes we all need to be aware that this kind of events can occur, and in some form or fashion, we need to be able to be prepared to deal with such instances. But at some stage then, especially in the context of, let's say, this can be relevant even in personal life or in many things. Like suppose tomorrow somebody says, all of you are based out of your own home and you are logging in and studying. Okay, so first of all, like while doing this, and I also want to know how many of all of you are at home reading, doing things. Do you have a chat window over here in this box somewhere? Yeah, I think I see a chat window. So if everybody is at home and enjoying this session from home, just type a H in this window, so I'll also know how many people you are there, how many people are listening or just on mute or what you are doing. So are you at home or in college, H or C? Can you see over here this chat window, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, home. Ankit is there from home. Ananya, I think I can see Ananya and Satakshi. Both of your video is on, so both of you are at home. I can figure that out. Many other people are still coming to light. अरे हाँ शाम का टाइम है क्या कुछ बात हो रही है चाय मंगाओ फिर कुछ टाइप करेंगे हम. Okay, one more person has written H. But broadly speaking, I think most of you are from home. College is not started. Just imagine that tomorrow they say, okay, college started. सब लोग कल office आ जाओ. Monday, अरे office नहीं, sorry, college आ जाओ. Monday is college start. And then at that point of time, the thing happens that no flights in Delhi, for example. It's a very unique situation, right? So how can you plan for that? In some form or fashion, these are kind of black swan events. So it can be in personal life, it can be in your financial portfolio, it can be in your college, anything like that. So at some point of time, then people started thinking that this is such a rare situation. How can there be no flights ever come in? Not possible, right? So during further time after that, another concept got evolved by another author Michelle Booker. She came up with this concept called grey rhino. Rhinoceros, gainda, north of India, very popular animal in Assam. Unfortunately, right now a little bit floods and all. Hopefully, God willing, everything's fine over there. So rhino is always grey in color, right? So not unusual. So this is another human bias that grey rhino events are events where you are aware it's open for the world at large to see that this kind of situation can happen. And then it depends on how you take action for it. Sometimes human nature is wired in such a way, it's a human bias. We are wired in such a way that we tend to ignore some events which we feel are not suitable to us. So let's say taking this same example further, expecting that all flights to Delhi are shut, very difficult, fine, okay. But okay, because it's rain, or because it's very often in Delhi in winter seasons, the early morning, there is heavy fog, so flights sometimes don't land up. So if somebody says that, okay, you have to come to Delhi for a meeting in college and the meeting starts at 9 a.m. Or 9:30 a.m. Then to expect that I will be able to land in my flight at 9 and reach college by 9:30 is a little bit difficult. There could be a fog which can cause the flight to be delayed. Flight will never get cancelled, but it will get delayed. So that is a kind of a event which can be impacting us. So we need to be prepared for that and say, hey boss, I'll go previous evening in the night and stay back so that I can be on time at 9:30 for my meeting. So these are different this is another very interesting book written by Michelle Booker called Grey Rhino. You should try and read that up also. It does not mean that this book is only financial market related. This book has a lot of learnings about areas in personal life also, how people's mind or human biases creep in when you are trying to do things in a day-to-day life. So why am I highlighting this? Main reason what I'm trying to say is that these kind of human biases or these kind of issues can be important and they can impact the way in which you take your decisions for your career as well. So for you guys right now, it's still a little bit early to start taking maybe investment decisions, but career decisions are very crucial. Which field to pick up, whether to go to Delhi or go to London for my further studies, whether to think of working in the capital markets in Asia Pacific or going to European region. Just example I'm saying, And then sometimes all of these human biases come in. So we need to be aware of these kind of issues. We need to be clear in our mind that how these can impact us, whether positively or negatively, and accordingly, we can factor them in our decision-making process. So that is the key area why I try to highlight this to you. Now moving a little bit further, just wanted to highlight this that as a student, as a young professional, what you should think of when you are doing anything in your life. What is it? Okay, I'm just chilling here, boss. What are you talking, man? I mean, right now I'm too early in my career to do anything serious. But the earlier the better. So in each and everything that you do, you should try to start thinking of what actually will it result into. So whether it's you are doing some tourism activity or whether you are going for some fun place or whether you're going to meet with friends, always be aware of your environment, be aware who is doing what, where business is flowing, where cash flow is happening, who is making money, how, just smallest thing. Today is Friday, many of you will search for Friday night, let's go and have a networking session or let's have a party with some friends, go to some nightclub, go to some restaurant, try to analyze how they are making money, where is the revenue stream coming from, whatever you might have in mind. So here I have just captured two very nice monuments, two cities. One is in the USA, one is in Argentina. Anybody familiar with, if you have visited either of these places? One is the White House, and in the back there is an obelisk, white colored Greek monument, and very similar obelisk is there even in Buenos Aires in Argentina. So if you are going for sightseeing, you'll say, wow, I took nice pictures. So unless you are an architect by nature, I believe you will not really make out much out of it. कि हाँ भाई ठीक है, photo खींच लिया, क्या बोलने का इसमें, मतलब there is an ancient obelisk. But sometimes it's very crucial, important to try to think further. And as an analyst, as a young professional, as a business analyst, you should try to keep analyzing further and think further and learn more. So there is a very important concept of the way in which government runs their policies. So in the recent times, you would have realized in this last about 1 year or so, a lot of pressure was there because of the pandemic, and all governments were doing very loose policies like fiscal stimulus, helping the economy to boost. So some of these policies, sometimes there are two types of thinking. Okay, one is Washington consensus and one is Buenos Aires consensus. So in the Washington consensus, they try to say that people or the government is doing very fiscally prudent policies. They are not doing very aggressive borrowings. They don't believe in too much of regulation. There is very open way of doing business. And Buenos Aires is the exact opposite of that. They believe in fiscal expansion, no globalization. They're very protectionism. That I want to protect my industry of India, of Japan, whichever country I belong to. So these are two very different aspects of how government runs their policies. So why I'm saying this again, just to highlight that structurally, whenever you are looking at things, always be inquisitive in your mind. Boss, what is the relevance for me? What I can learn out of this? So that will ensure that you have a good focus on how the world around you is working or how the businesses are operating. So leading this to the next step is about your professional career. Or I'll give example of how I was thinking about my professional career, and then I try to put it into a slide and showcase it to all of you, right? So let's say today you are sitting here in your college, your Commpact, your nice fancy college in Rohini. All of you have done your schooling and all from good reputed institutions, and now you are joined here. Now what next? Thinking about 10 years future, you have to think of your career. Not everybody will be doing a job. Some of you might be doing some entrepreneurial venture, right? Some of you might be having some family business you want to join. So try to think about 10 years later, 2032, if we meet again, what kind of world we will be living in? How will be the business dynamics? What kind of areas, what kind of industries will be doing well? And then try to form a view of what you want to do in that world. So you could very well be saying, yes, I want to do something in the world of financial planning, financial analytics. You can say, no, I want to do something in the world of artificial intelligence, machine learning, coding, big data analysis. That is something very fancy right now. Maybe in 10 years it will grow big. So gradually, so this is not something you will be able to get from this one today's presentation or in one meeting with somebody. But over the period of time, like how you mentioned, you are running this series of sessions. Keep gathering small data points from different people, different sessions, from your college professors, from your friends, from your seniors, and try to formulate an opinion that what the world will look like in 10 years and who I want to be in that world. And then you say, what I am today, where I am right now. So, okay, right now I am here standing over in my college. I have done my about 12, 13 years, 15th year of education I'm currently pursuing. And in 10 years, where I want to reach. And then during this journey, you try to enhance your knowledge, build the requisite skills, build the requisite relationships, and try to come to the way in which you can align yourself into that world. And if you feel during the journey in the beginning that, no, this is something which I had thought, but it doesn't look nice, I won't enjoy doing that job. That is the key. You need to be able to enjoy what you are doing. So while you are building the knowledge and skills, build up the relationships as well, the soft skills, the relationships. Talk to people in that industry, that how they are doing, what all areas they are facing, what they are enjoying, because there is a ongoing need for a learning and there will be regular changes. So the minute you are networked with right set of people, you'll keep learning from them what they are doing. Suppose it's like this, if you are not belonging to Delhi and you wanted to join this college, right? So what will you do? Here, okay, let me analyze which all college I can go to. Either I can go to Delhi or I can go to Mumbai or I can go to Bangalore. Now you'll try to analyze further that how is the weather over there? How far is it from my hometown? Whether I'll get good flights or buses or trains to connect myself, like that. And if it's not fitting in line, you change the direction and go somewhere else. So you'll get to always be in sync with how the world is moving towards that direction. So this is something, friends, which was very important even in my journey. Like earlier in my career, I am a commerce background person, and then I did my CA, Chartered Accountancy, and I was into auditing practice. Then from there, I realized that in 2032, my 10 years future, maybe this is a profession which I would not really be keen to pursue. So at that point of time, I thought maybe 10 years later, the world of finance and investments and portfolio management will be very big. Maybe I would like to do something in that field. So that's how I got into that area, and I did my further knowledge enhancement rather than further my education in CA and auditing. I did my CFA, got more analytics kind of a education, relevant skill sets and relationships I built, which helped me in creating a better profile for my career. So I just wanted to highlight and share this as a personal journey also, that how sometimes you can move from one part of the journey to another in the different structure. So what I do as a part of my daily calendar, I just want to share that with you, and if possible, I can maybe help you guys to learn and try to create something similar. So on a daily basis, try to learn something new every day. It might be very small things, something new. That okay, if I have to, like I was talking to Priyanshi madam, that okay, what will happen after this? So she said, okay, sir, after this we'll convert this into some podcast, and it will go on to our some network of students. So I said, wow, that is interesting. I never knew that from a Google Meets you can convert to a podcast. Okay, maybe later on I'll do some research around it and try to learn. So something new. It need not always be something relating to your curriculum or your studies or your business. Something nearby to that, something which will help you enhance your horizon. Second thing is try to find some quiet time every day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, either in the morning. Some people are morning people, some people are night people. Whatever be that, you figure it out and try to find out some quiet time, sit back and reflect what you're doing by him. Then once in a week, try to do something, one activity which stretches beyond your current capability. So maybe some sessions like this which you were organized, it is something good. You are doing your daily college, your studies, your extracurricular activities, your games, sport, etc. Something you do out of the way, once in a week. And on an ongoing basis, always keep this in mind. Like I said in the beginning also, always be open to ask more questions. Don't worry कि अरे यार I will look foolish, मैं क्या ऐसा question पूछ रही हूँ यार, कोई सोचेंगे कैसा question पूछ रहा है, I should not ask, let me keep my mouth shut. Don't think like that. Be very open. Life is not a test, friends, So keep this part very much important in your mind. What you can do on a daily, weekly and ongoing basis, it will be very useful. It has helped me a lot in my profession. So I just wanted to highlight this part also to you and leave you with that. And with that, maybe as I said, first half of about 20 minutes from my side as a quick discussion. Now maybe I'll open it up for any questions. If any of you have any thoughts, comments, questions. I realize there is slightly low audience, but I know whatever audience is there. If you have any thoughts or any questions, very happy to discuss.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed very informative. Sir, we have few questions that we have collected.
Sure. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, sir, what according to you was the turning point that changed the course of your career?
So see, as I mentioned, that structurally one of the main area which I had a turning point in my career was this part, I was earlier in auditing as a business, as a practice, so I did my studies, everything around that area. I did that for about 1 to 2 years, and I realized that there are some issues which I felt can come up in future, which I would not like to be doing. So I'll give you an example if you want to know. So what happened is this was during the period 2000-2001. There was an Enron as a company. Maybe you must have read it in your case studies, or if not, you can just Google it up, and it will be good reading for all of you as a learning. So Enron was a very large company in the US which went through some difficulties and it went bankrupt. So the auditor of the company Enron was an entity called Arthur Andersen. It was one of the very big global companies, and I was working in India in a competitor company of Arthur Andersen called Ernst & Young, EY. I was sitting and watching all this develop very closely that Arthur Anderson, because of the Enron's bankruptcy, they also became under a lot of pressure and they had to shut down their business model became very much challenged. So I thought to myself that if I am in this practice of auditing, maybe 10 years later, 15 years later, I am head of the Mumbai practice of Ernst & Young or KPMG or similar some company. And if because of something wrong which goes in my client's area, if my business has to suffer or I have to shut down my business, maybe I don't want to be in this field. And at that time, mutual funds and asset management was newly starting for private sector. So I thought maybe it will be good to grow with a growing business. I try to do this aero analytics 10 years later, how this business will be and what I would like to do in that world, something similar, not in exact same structured manner, like nobody came with a PowerPoint presentation to me and showed me this structure. And that I felt that maybe I will be better off and I will enjoy this more. So I chose that path. That was like sort of a changing point or turning point. It's like saying that, okay, you guys are studying in Delhi. If you feel that Delhi में बहुत ठंडी रहती है यार, मैं तो winter season में यहाँ रह ही नहीं सकती हूँ. Really changing point. I want to change. I want to go and change my college. Or okay, I'll finish this, but then for my masters or for my further studies, I will go to Mumbai, for example. Just like I'm saying, that way. It's important to keep thinking and analyzing that what it will need to, what will be required to make you feel happy every day. So every day after a hard day at college or a difficult day at work, when you're going back home, if you are charged up because next day morning मेरे को भाग के वापस पहुंचना है कॉलेज में या ऑफिस में, then it's worthwhile your whatever you're doing. If not, then it's not worthwhile. That.
Yes, sir. Sir, what do you think matters more, qualification or experience in a certain field?
Well, I think it's a very delicate combination of both. Till the time you don't have qualification or base level of degree or understanding of knowledge, your experience will be a little bit shallow. But yes, once that is done, then experience is very crucial in my view. Like structurally now today, nobody will remember that Acha was, or for you, for example, Ananya madam, I'll just give example. Like, okay, you did your schooling 10 years back, right? Maybe, at that point of time, you learned geography and you learned about there are different regions in the globe. Tundra region is there. Now, if somebody asks you, madam, Tundra region, what was the thing? What do they do to live, keep themselves alive? You will not remember. Or if there's trigonometry, you learned that time, okay, sine square plus cos square is equal to theta, whatever. Even if somebody asks me, I will not know, basically, to be very honest. Or let's say, even in the world of finance, somebody asks me now, okay, you had learned in CFA level 1. Now tell me today how to do a bootstrapping and value of Black-Scholes model of a derivative with a calculator. Maybe I will not be able to do it. I'm being very honest. So then there, your knowledge about your experience comes into the picture. That okay, then what area you are working on and how experienced you are, what all issues you have seen over there, whether you've seen some business cycles of ups and downs and you have been able to navigate through them. So then it becomes a combination of the two. But if you don't know only that base knowledge, then you can't survive basically. That is how I would see it. It's a very delicate balance between the two. So for each one of you guys listening to this, I think it's very crucial that you give a very heavy focus on your current curriculum and studies and excel in that. But yes, after that, no doubt, try to get some good internships in between. Try to do your own some self-study or write some own report of your own. Post it on LinkedIn as a social media. How many of you use LinkedIn as a social media? Anybody or everybody's on Instagram? Nobody uses LinkedIn. Try to use that and get more aware. You will get to meet with more professional people. You can write more, learn more. As like connecting this dot between qualification versus experience. So some of these experiences where you are reading about other people's experiences or sharing your experiences and people commenting on that and you are responding to that, those also are very crucial and very critical for your overall learning and development.
So both of them are complementary to each other.
Complementary is right, but yeah.
Sir, were there any challenges that you faced during your CFA journey?
Most certainly, there are a lot of challenges, and so I keep telling everybody, if you would have watched some of my videos also on CFA portal or anywhere else, I always keep thinking that these kind of professional examinations, if you can't think of it as examination. If you think of CFA program as an examination, you have half the battle lost. If you think of it as just study, it's not worthwhile. You have to think of it as pure knowledge enhancement, something that will make you do what you are doing in a much more better way with a much more deeper understanding about the business, about the fundamental aspects of that area. So I feel some of the challenges that sometimes people face is that you tend to get too much bogged down with that. Oh, I have to have a competitiveness. I have to pass this test. That is a very different mindset. You have to come away from that. The minute you break free from that, then you start enjoying the reading. Suppose now today this session was made mandatory for all of you to attend. तो आप बोर हो के आए हो यार, देखो सब लोग आधे लोग तो आए भी नहीं, खाली 5 जन है, सब लोग ने वीडियो बना के, अरे यार कुछ सुन रहे चल रहा है. But if it was not made mandatory, it was out of option, then everybody will come and they will be keen and eager to attend, participate, learn, because nobody has told them to do it, but they have done it from their own free will. So I feel that one of major challenges which even I faced in the early stages of my CFA journey was that, I was like, okay, I have to prepare, I have to give this test. Then I changed my thinking that, okay, I can't think of it as an examination or as a test. Otherwise, I'm bound to fail. Or even if I get a passing score in the exam, I would have failed in absorbing the right level of knowledge, which is supposed to be the key aspect. So that I would like to highlight as a key learning for me and all of you, if as and when you progress further in your journey, whether in doing CFA or whatever you might be doing. Many of you might be doing something in marketing or HR or finance or whatever it might be. So always keep this one point in mind. I feel.
Yes, sir. So now, what are the skills that you believe that students must learn during their schooling times only?
Well, see, I think basic skills during schooling time is that you need to be able to have a very sharp way of analyzing things. So whatever comes your way, have a kind of platform which can process that whatever has come to you and analyze it and throw it back to the world. And second thing is learn good enough soft skills. The rest of the learning is already happening in school and college. People are training you that this is a subject, this is what you have to learn, this is what you have to give your curriculum, this is what you have to give your exam and pass. But some of these soft skills, some of this networking, like I said, one very big thing. I assure you, all of you will have Instagram accounts, but not many of you have LinkedIn accounts. Change that. Start doing it now. You will start getting learning about larger issues, businesses, who's doing what, how work is getting done. And mind you, friends, it need not be only to find a job. It's for many other things, just to get a learning, just to share experiences of life. Many of you, as I said earlier, you might not even go for a job. You will be doing some entrepreneur venture. Some of you might be having some family business which you will join. So irrespective of what you do, maybe this is something which will be helping you in future. So two things. One is, as I said, soft skills, networking and all, which will include LinkedIn, something like that. And second is try to create a platform for your own self, where anything that comes your way, you analyze it in a proper way, digest it, and act upon it. And one more thing I'd like to highlight, like as I said, technology, big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these are fancy words, but they are all going to be the future. So let's say if I rewind back, when I was in college, at that point of time, if somebody says, "Kere boss, mere ko computer use karna aata hai," I've gone to join computer classes. It was a big deal. It's how to operate a computer. Right? I mean, just think of it today. People say, "Yo, I learned how to use Word, Excel, PowerPoint." It was a big deal. Today, can you even imagine anybody saying, I will go and learn how to use PowerPoint or Word or Excel? I mean, or how to use the Google Meet. People will laugh at it basically, right? So, likewise, futuristic thing will be how to learn coding. Maybe 10 years later, learning or being able to use a coding language will become common practice. Today, you need to learn about it. Maybe try to learn something which will help you in analyzing big sets of data, learn some coding language. Today, there are basic languages called R, Python. These are two basic languages. Some of you might have learned it. Anybody from engineering background? Oh, sorry, you are still undergraduate students, not engineering background. My apologies. But you might have read about some coding languages and try to think further. Today, there is R and Python. These are two popular languages. But I will let you guys become senior professionals. 10 years later, always keep thinking 2032. Will these languages be there? They would have become obsolete. You try to think languages which are new right now. There is a language called Julia, Julia, Julia. Maybe right now it's very nascent, but maybe 10 years later it will become mainstream and become very important. And when I was young, there used to be a language called COBOL and Pascal. Now today it's not even heard of. You might not even know of it. Google मारोगे शायद कुछ मिलेगा भी नहीं उसके बारे में. Like that, try to learn some language, maybe in some form or fashion, which will be helpful for you in the future.
Yes, sir. So, do you have any investment philosophy?
Well, investment philosophy, there is too much of knowledge around in the world. Try to get the best of it. In general, I believe asset allocation is the best approach from investment perspective. You should get your asset allocation right in terms of some component going to fixed income, some to equity, some to commodities. Once that is done, the foremost area to look at is that you should be investing at the time when there is a good value in that investment, whether equity or bonds or commodities or whatever. So if you are, let's say today, looking at capital markets and looking at, let's say, equity markets, to identify good quality companies, that's the key first. And second is whether they are available at good value. And you go ahead and invest. So asset allocation, then within that, make sure you are buying good quality investment at the right value. Then you are sorted. Then even if there is ups and downs or volatility in the capital markets, you should not be worried. You should be broadly well taken care of.
Yes, sir. So also after the college, most of them moves into the investment world. So
Oh, is it? Okay.
do you have any advice for the newcomers that they must keep in mind?
Well, so I'm glad to know that many of you are invested into career in investments. But I think, as I said, one of the main things to keep in mind is be very clear of what you want to do in the world of investments. You want to do research, you want to do trading, you want to do something into investment banking, and try to analyze each of those industries with this 10-year horizon. That 10 years later, how that industry will be, what kind of profit dynamics will be there, what you will be doing in that role, and whether you will enjoy that. So try to picture in your mind. Suppose if you say, I want to do something into portfolio management. Try to put yourself, let's say, for example, in the shoes of Anil Ghelani, that if 10 years later I would be what Anil is today. Try to picture yourself in my chair and think, okay, what all I will be doing and whether you will enjoy doing this work, yes or no. Like I said, after a hard day at work, when you're driving back home, whether you will be charged up to run back to the office tomorrow next day and come back and sit on my chair and carry on the work. If yes, this is the right thing for you. If no, select something else. So that, in my view, is the main thing to keep in mind. Other than that, like when you said, if many of you are trying to pursue a career in investments, I just want to highlight one thing, that be very clear about your inherent quality, your nature. So I once had a friend of mine, and she was very involved in theory in investments. Did very good in scoring in the undergraduation college and all that, and then did further studies, did MBA, and then she got a job in some portfolio management role, some dealing desk. After a few weeks or maybe a few months, maybe we met once. She said, "Yeah, boss, I'm feeling a lot of stress and I'm not enjoying." I said, "Why? What happened?" She said, "I have to sit in front of the terminal every day, and I mean, I can't understand what numbers are floating around. That's also I get a very bad headache, and I'm not able to cope with this." I said, "Then you change, do something else." So she moved into sales profile within investment. Portfolio asset management industry, and then she was very happy because there she could go out and meet clients. She could talk to them about portfolio allocation, asset allocation, how they should structure their investments. So what I'm trying to highlight, that building a career in the world of investing need not only be portfolio management or research or dealing. It could be anything. It could be multiple functions which could lead you to a successful and a good career in the world of finance and investing. So be very clear about your inherent nature and what you feel like doing and what you like.
Yes, sir. And sir, do you think that the investment is age bounded?
I'm sorry, say investment is what?
Investment is age bounded. There must be a certain age. That there must be a certain age when a person must enter the investment world. Or is this just
no, well, nothing like that. Frankly, so like as I was telling about myself, when I was already a professional chartered accountant by education, did auditing for a couple of years. Then I joined the mutual fund industry. That time I was in operations because I was from auditing and accounting side. I joined fund accounting. And much later on, then I got opportunity to do something into investment management related activity. So if there is any age specific, it depends on very larger other factors.
Yes, sir. And so, do you believe that a person must have a plan B or a backup plan with them?
Well, yeah, always. That's always important. Plan B is always useful. Like, as I mentioned, if you enter into some career and if you then feel that no, this is not something working for me or I'm not enjoying, then yes, most certainly you need to have plan B. Because always there will be some areas, some issues where you will face some turbulence. And if you're not able to come to terms with that, you should always have plan B. It will be very beneficial. I think that should be like a very see, if you're talking about plan B in a career, it should be used as a very remote situation. Just after joining some company or some field, you can't just like that turn to plan B. Because anything new that you start will take some time to get adjusted, absorbed. Only then you can decide, I'm very clear, this is not for me and I want to switch to plan B. Otherwise, it will be very easy to say कि नहीं बस मजा नहीं आ रहा है, बहुत stress है, boss बहुत डांटता है, ये नहीं हो रहा है, I'm working every day 8 hours. Just example I'm saying, this. But if you give it one cycle, basically, after that you feel no, this is not working, then you go to plan.
And sir, as you have worked in various positions, but which job profile did you enjoy the most?
Well, nothing like that. I mean, to be very honest, some of my roles just evolved over the time in terms of what the need of our business was, So, whatever I'm doing right now, I'm enjoying. I mean, it's not something which I didn't enjoy earlier and now I'm enjoying or whatever. As I said, when I was doing auditing business, I was enjoying it a lot. Sometimes people say auditing is very boring, but I never found it that way. It was very interesting. You get to learn new businesses, go to meet new clients every, quarter or every month. So it was a structural decision why I decided to move out from auditing business. But I'm just saying that as such, whatever you do, you have to find your own ways to enjoy that.
And so with the ongoing rising fuel prices and all-time high inflation, some people are speculating a 2008-like recession in near future. Do you also believe the same?
Structurally, I think we are in a situation where there is high inflation, as you said. In my view, if along with high inflation, if you have good growth, then it's comfortable. There is no problem with that. Inflation alone is not a problem, to be very honest. And growth in a lot of spaces has been there. We are seeing growth in pockets. Some countries might face a little bit challenge. Some countries will be comfortable. So if you have high inflation and high growth, it's comfortable. If you have high inflation, low growth, then it results into what we call a classic case of stagflation. That could be a problematic issue. As of now, I think it's too early to try and position that because there is high inflation and little bit concern around growth, we'll see some bit of a problem in recession. But yeah, it could be a little bit challenging for the next couple of quarters to watch. I feel as long as we have good growth, there should be no problem.
Okay, sir. Sir, it has been great listening to your wise words. I must say I'm personally very inspired by you. Sir, I have one last question. What advice would you like to give to the students?
Well, one thing I would like to just highlight that, be cool, be calm. What I said in the very beginning, because as young professionals, young students, you often tend to get very anxious about things that what will happen next, what will happen in my career. 2 of my 2 years I've spent only in work from home, study from home. So what will happen now? Don't worry, things will fall in place, sometimes in challenges come the most biggest opportunities. So continue with what you are doing and be calm and things will fall in place. Get the most out of the learnings. And the rest of it, whatever I said 1 hour, it was all what I wanted to say, to guide all of you guys.
I would like to extend my warm regards to you, sir, for taking out time out of your busy schedule and speak with us and for sharing your knowledge with us. It was very informative indeed and full of the facts. You can say it is an honor to have you here with us today. I sincerely hope your experience was pleasant as well.
Yes, all good. Thank you very much, guys. And all the best. Keep in touch. As I said, I urge all of you, make sure you make the most of these learnings in your college. And these kind of sessions are not very common. I was talking to your colleague Priyansh